Hey there, and welcome. As 2025 starts to wind down, it's really the perfect moment to just take a breath, look back, and start thinking about what's next. So, what we're going to do in this explainer is break down the key news and data to help you, as a UK business owner, get a real head start on your 2026 strategy. Okay, before we get into all the headlines and numbers, let's just start with a quick question for you. Think about your business. Did 2025 pan out the way you thought it would? Maybe a new product just took off and blew all your forecasts out of the water. Or maybe, rising costs and just trying to find good people threw a huge wrench in your plans. Being honest with yourself here is the first step to figuring out next year. So, here's the game plan. First, we'll spend a bit more time reflecting on your 2025. Then we'll zoom out to look at the UK economic picture. After that, we'll dive into some key business risks, check out some future opportunities, and finally, get you thinking about your big goal for 2026. All right, first up, let's really dig into the lessons from this past year. It's so easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day hustle, right? But by actually understanding your wins and, your challenges, you can build a much smarter plan for the year to come. So I want you to look at these questions not just as a checklist, but as a way to find the hidden story of your year. Where did you smash it? What was holding you back? Which part of the business actually drove real growth? Pinpointing these things, well, that's how you figure out what to focus on in 2026. Okay, let's zoom out a bit, because let's face it, no business exists in a bubble. The wider UK economy has been the backdrop for every single decision you've had to make this year. And getting a handle on these mixed signals is absolutely crucial for planning what's next. All right, let's kick things off with a bit of good news, shall we? Inflation has kept on dropping, hitting 3.2% in November. Now, that's mainly because prices for things like food and clothes have come down, which has hopefully taken a bit of the pressure off, both for you and for your customers. But, of course, it's never that simple, is it? While inflation is down, the job market has definitely cooled off. Unemployment actually climbed to 5.1%. What this really tells us is that a lot of businesses are still pretty cautious about hiring, probably because of higher employment costs and just a general feeling of uncertainty out there. And this number, even though it looks tiny, really paints a picture of just how fragile things are right now. In the 3 months up to October, the UK economy actually shrank by 0.1%. It's a small number, but it represents real-world caution from pretty much everyone. So you put all that together, and what do you get? A really complex year. You've got these competing forces all pushing and pulling at the same time. It's no wonder 2025 has felt like such a roller coaster for so many businesses. So, in response to all this shakiness, the Bank of England stepped in and cut its base rate from 4% down to 3.75%. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, it makes borrowing cheaper, which should, in theory, help get the economy moving again. If you have any variable rate loans, this is definitely good news, and it might be a good time to review your financing options. Okay, let's pivot a little. We've talked big picture economy. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the risks you have to manage day in, day out. Because having a great strategy is one thing, but you've got to protect your business from the ground up. One of the biggest risks, especially right now with all the seasonal hiring, is simply getting payroll right. It's a really important reminder that everyone, and I mean everyone, temporary or permanent, has to be paid the legal minimum wage for every single hour they work. No exceptions. So here are the rates as of this past April, but here's the kicker, the thing that catches so many businesses out. You cannot make deductions for things like uniforms or equipment if it ends up pushing an employee's pay below these minimum rates. The penalties for getting this wrong can be massive, up to 200% of whatever you underpaid. And it's not just about your own internal stuff. You've got to watch your back for external threats too. With the self-assessment deadline looming, the scammers are out in full force. In fact, HMRC has had more than 4,800 reports of tax-related scams just since February. That is a huge number. The advice from HMRC's head of security is, honestly, just common sense. But we all need the reminder. Be skeptical. If you get an email, a text, a phone call that just feels a bit off, don't click anything. Don't share anything. Just stop. Think of this as your scam spotting cheat sheet. HMRC is never going to leave you a threatening voicemail or text you a link to claim a tax refund. Scammers? They'll do that all day long. Just knowing these basic rules is your absolute best defense. And if you're thinking, does this stuff really happen? Well, let's look at a real-world case.
A company director got not one, but two bounce back loans, totaling 80 grand, when he knew businesses were only allowed one. And he used the cash for personal share trading.
And the results? Well, it wasn't just a slap on the wrist. He was jailed for over 2 years and banned from being a company director for 8 years. It's a pretty stark reminder of how seriously this stuff is taken and why good governance is so important. Okay, enough of the doom and gloom. After talking through all those risks, let's switch gears and focus on the future. Let's look for those green shoots, those opportunities and innovations that are starting to pop up. You can see this happening right now in the farming sector, for example. The government has just paid out over £435 million to farmers who are part of environmental schemes. What this tells us is that there's real, tangible financial support out there for businesses that are embracing more sustainable practices. And what's really cool is the Adopt Fund, which is backing all these practical, hands-on projects. We're talking about things like trying out peat-free compost or even retrofitting tractors. These aren't just theories on a whiteboard. This is about finding out what actually works on the ground to make businesses more productive and resilient. You could apply that thinking to any industry. So here we are. We've looked back at 2025, we've gotten a handle on the economy and the risks, and we've even seen some really exciting opportunities on the horizon. All of that brings us to one final, really important question for you to think about. So after everything we've gone through, it really comes down to this, doesn't it? Consolidate or grow? Are you going to focus on strengthening what's already working, shoring up your foundations, and making the business more resilient? Or is 2026 the year to invest and really push for growth? Look, there's no right or wrong answer here, but hopefully this has given you some food for thought. What's it going to be?